So everyone, welcome to 15 Minutes with Judi. I'm Judi Platz, Chief Customer Officer at SupportLogic. And today I have the honor of being joined by Irit Eizips, the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Customer Officer for the CSM Practice. I'm not going to embarrass both of us by saying how long we've known each other, but I did some counting the other day and we're into decades now. I don't know if you realize that. So thank goodness everybody else is getting older and we're not, right? You're such an industry phenom in the customer success world, but I know we'll have some people on here who may not have that background. Would you be willing to share a bit about your background, Irit?
Yeah, I think I all my life I've been a consultant. So obviously I worked with customers and I was very familiar with almost like the challenge of you're doing something for the company, you're delivering on an SOW, a statement of work, and you're not really sure what the impact is. And you're missing that connection of, did I deliver value to my client? And if so, what was that value? And the first time that I heard about customer success is when I had a call with a gentleman by the name Jim Eberlin, who is the founder of Gainsight, who also was the CEO of Host Analytics, another company that he established earlier on. And he invited me to his journey in setting up the company. He just got some funding and he told me, hey, I'm going to get a new CEO. His name is Nick Maida. You should come meet him. 2 weeks later, history was made. And I've worked with Gainsight for about a year and a half. And then I went back to consulting, which is what I do. And because it was so important for me to be part of that customer success movement, the writing was on the wall. It's going to be a big thing. And I realized there's just so much we can do as a software company impacting the entire industry. I felt like I could have a much more broader impact if I actually had a YouTube channel where I can interview people on what was helpful for them. If I had my own consulting firm where I can help more companies that might not be able to afford a CSP, a customer success platform. And that's what I did. I started the first customer success strategy consulting firm in the world back in July 2014. And back then we had very different conversations with startup and software companies. I would say that I had an incredible journey and an incredible time being impactful on this industry and being able to shape the strategies and really spread the world around customer success. And I think that one of the highlights for me was when I have a 401k with Schwab because I own my own business. And Schwab calls me and say, the guy, Aaron, a great guy. But first call, he says, hey, I'm your customer success manager at Schwab. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess we're in financial institutions now. So this is how big customer success become. And it was a very exciting milestone for me to know, wow, this is the impact we actually had, not just on software and SaaS, but rather on the business world.
Right. Absolutely. I'm glad you did what you did. I think, thousands and thousands of people are. And, I know that people follow you. And somebody asked me just the other day, do you think we're still recovering from all of the changes during COVID? And I'm like, wow, are we? Because they were trying to put a pin in why it feels like there's so much, call it loose footing, uncertainty, things that are happening with organizations transitioning success and support, putting them together, right? I talked to someone last week who said his customer success team has moved into 5 different reporting structures in the past year. It was under product, it was under sales, it was part of support, right? It was reporting to the CEO and then it was moved again. So much is changing. What is your feeling right now on not only the strength of the industry, but what feels like a really changing geography, if you will?
Well, first, I think there's a couple of things here. One, what is happening with, I'm just shocked by that story.
The five story?
Yeah, like who does that? I don't think
Right.
that has anything to do with customer success as much as it has to do with the leadership at that
Absolutely.
company. Okay.
Sure.
Let's just put that. And if they don't know where customer success should be, they should either listen to podcasts like yours and mine to really understand where should customer success be positioned in the organization, or join a TSIA and they'll tell them. And it's really dependent on your, I would say, revenue model, business model, and customer life cycle, like the company's life cycle phase. Um, with regards to merging customer success with support, I think sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it absolutely doesn't. Again, depends on the business model at large. Let's talk about the economy. It's the third point you made, which is, are we still recovering from COVID? I think what happened during COVID is that we printed a lot of freaking money. And then we started to taking it all away by increasing interest. And with everything that happened during COVID, where the supply chain got messed up and prices were increasing, that hurt a bunch of industries immediately. And there's a lagging impact on software companies and other industries that weren't directly impacted during COVID. We're just now starting to seeing the impact on that. So I can tell you that the impact is not really around customer success as it is around companies' ability to get their hands on funding, on cash, companies' abilities to retain their own customers because of cash flow issues. And so now some companies will merge customer success with support because they're trying to protect the cash flow, not because necessarily it's the best thing since sliced bread. So you'll see a lot of companies making compromises around best practices, around the optimal structure potentially, or even have less customer success members in their organization, or I don't know, not investing in, consultants that can really help switch things around and help them make the right decision at the right time in these critical junctures. So I think that all of that impacts customer success managers. This is why they're not being hired as fast as they used to be. We're seeing when companies do hire customer success managers, they tend to hire more junior people sometimes and hope to train them faster because of cash flow issues. All of that, Judith, in 2024, when companies are strapped for cash, finding it hard to get funding, to get loans, this is what they do.
Yeah, without a doubt. Having been in the support industry for so long, right, it used to be that support was the first place. And now, I think it's support and success are both being viewed almost identical when it comes to cost reduction efforts, which, we know how we feel about that for sure. You touched on something, and I think it's obviously, a highlight when I was looking at LinkedIn over the weekend. You touched on, customer or companies needing to reduce churn and such. You're doing something for the industry on this, and you made an announcement about your 90-day churn challenge.
Yeah, listen, as consultants, you gather a lot of expertise during the years. And I've been doing this for 10 years, working with over 200 companies, large, small, learned a lot, interviewed 300 people on my channel. So I kind of know what works and what doesn't. And I had a choice to kind of see, okay, where is this going? And clearly there's a lot of companies right now that struggle with churn, either partial churn or complete logo churn. And so when you view yourself as somebody that's pivotal in making a difference in as many companies as possible, you're trying to think, okay, what do they need the most right now? So I decided to sit down and really think, if I had to teach a CEO or an executive a few things around what do they need to do in a very short time to impact churn and reduce it by at least 1%. Why 1%? Because it's a realistic goal, something they could probably accomplish in 90 days. To tell you the truth, some of the companies that have even implemented some of these tactics were able to slice their churn by half. But as a promise, as a goal, I think it's more realistic to say, let's just reduce it by 1% and let the rest take care of itself. I chose strategies that I thought they could implement fairly quickly, and have seen companies and other executives that were on my YouTube channel implement fairly quickly, because I think that some companies are literally, Judith, running out of time, running out of the runway is really short. So if I had to focus them in 90 days, what are the tactics that they should be implementing right now to get their business better? This is what came into the program.
I'm excited to see where this goes. I know that you'll be posting and updating us in the industry. I think this is absolutely phenomenal of you. So, off-topic question, but I'm going to ask: if you had one button on your life, on your career, on everything, you could either have a pause button or a rewind button. Which one would you choose?
When I was 19, the first thing that I did coming back for the weekend out of my military service was to go check out the museum, because they always had live presentations from professors from the university coming in and talking about logical thinking and philosophy. So as soon as I finished my military service, I registered and I applied to a degree in philosophy and logical thinking. I was still living with my mom at the time, and she received a letter of acceptance from the university. She didn't like it. And so I ended up, had to cancel my registration and apply for something a little bit more substantial that would actually get me a job, which was economics and management. And here we are today. But I would say, if I had the rewind button, I would have a completely different life. I would probably be an artist. I would probably pursue a philosophy and logical thinking. I would probably become a professor in university, and the whole concept of money and revenues would be fleeting from my life.
Wow.
But as it stands, here we are.
Here we are. I love your answer to that question, and I love that you went with me with that question. Tell me about a success that you've had. You can use names or don't use names, but what's a success that you've had that you want people to think and know, hey, it's possible?
Well, I have some that are related to like personal struggles. Obviously, none of us gave us life in general. But, in terms of working with clients or in the industry itself, I think my company is in and of itself constant ebbs and flows, if you will, as entrepreneur. So if there's anybody here that has their own business, everybody here struggles with it. And I would say that when I started out my business, I had to really prove that even though I wasn't a VP of customer success before, I could actually help companies with their customer success motions. And I struggled so much that I had people that worked with me in the past pass my name up and recommending other consultants. Like back in 2014, 15, when I just got started, they would just would not pass my name on, would not recommend me, even though they knew who I was and could have helped me quite a bit, because I didn't have that experience in my resume. Mm-hmm. And my thought around this, Judith, was that the truth always bubbles up. And when you have grit and perseverance and you do the right thing, you will eventually win. And it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie about it. Like it took me a few years before I could say that all these industry accolades to actually prove that I do have an impact and that I know what I'm saying. But I think that the self-belief in who you are, what you stand for, what do you want out of your life, and sticking with it, knowing that other people will get that as well eventually if you just continued on your path, is really, really important. And so if you're a CEO and you're struggling right now, get on the right path, continue with what you believe in, have a really strong vision, and take as much help as you need so that you could get everybody else understand what your company is about, so that your customers understand what you are about. If they're leaving you, the probably perceived value is not quite there yet. If your team is leaving you, they probably don't really understand what you're about yet. Strengthen that, keep working on that. Everything will come into fruition.
That's awesome. Great advice. I know we're going to see each other soon. You're actually going to be with us for our first ever Support Experience Conference. I'm looking forward to seeing you and spending time with you there. I want to thank you for being who you are in this industry and being, first off, just, a pillar of strength, but a woman who has helped many women. And I know that you have. A lot of it you do quietly, but it's amazing the circle of people that I know who then mention your name to me. And, it would be people that you wouldn't expect. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm glad to know you. You mean a lot to me. So I have enjoyed our conversation today, and I look forward to many more in the future.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to have you on my YouTube channel, Judith.
Looking forward to that as well. Thank you. Have a great day. And thank you, everyone, for listening and participating. And we look forward to our next session.